Here we go again. Welcome to another edition of Lew Dub's Personal Best. On this special occasion, I'm giving you a sneak peek at the likely order of entry for the 2022 Melbourne Cup. I did one of these videos last year and I picked 40 of the top 50 in the order of entry, and that was pretty good when you consider 6 of my 50 selections were withdrawn before the official order of entry was released. Here is my top 10 from last year alongside the actual top 10. A bit disappointing, just 6 out of the top 10, but 2 of my selections were withdrawn before the official list was published. We will get into this year's anticipated or predicted order of entry, but a quick explanation for Melbourne Cup newbies. The order of entry is basically a dynamic list that includes all the horses wishing to compete in the Melbourne Cup. As we have a problem that only 24 horses can compete in the Cup and hundreds want to, or 180 something this year, the list, which is usually published in September 13 this year, the official order of entry, gives a rough idea. This list gives a rough idea of who will actually be running in the race in November. Remember though, the list is dynamic. Horses can move up the order of entry or down, pending their performances in relevant races. So from mid-September until the last Saturday before the first Tuesday in November, that's a tricky one, horses have their chance to improve their position. Also, there are races deemed ballot exemption races, which in layman's terms just means if you win one of those specific races, you get automatic entry into the 24 horse field, if your horse has been nominated, of course. Finally, for a full and more convoluted explanation of what the relevant races are and all the other conditions of entry, check the link in the video description that says Melbourne Cup Conditions of Entry. That will take you to the VRC website with all the fine print. Without further delay, let's roll the tape. The list kicks off with Point Nepean at number 1, and that's as he won the Andrew Ramsden back in May. That's one of them ballot exemption races. We have a couple of decent 1.5 mile horses in Duis and Montefilia, but the pair is yet to try their hand at 2 miles, so be careful if you're having a punt on them at this stage. We know Spanish Mission can run it out. In good news for Gay Waterhouse and Adrian Bott, I'm sure their English Derby runner-up Huya Mao will make the 24 horse field and likely get in with as little as 52 kilograms, maybe even less, 51. The other scary 3-year-old is Deauville Legend. This guy won the Group 2 Great Voltager very comfortably, and that would get him into the 24 horse field easily. Again, he's likely to carry a lightweight, 51.5 kilos, maybe 51. Next, let's take a look at this batch of 3 more Northern Hemisphere Raiders Without a Fight, who beat a 3 horse field in the Silver Cup, though the runner-up John Leaper ran 3 lengths 4th in the Ebor after that. Camorra is a 5-year-old gelding that won the Group 2 Curragh Cup. That is definitely sufficient to qualify for the 24 horse Melbourne Cup field. The Curragh Cup was actually the race Twilight Payment won on his path to glory in the 2020 Melbourne Cup. Eldar Eldarov is a 3-year-old colt who won the Group 2 Queen's Vase over 2800. His official rating is 109, and that is just under the 110 of Camorra. Now we get to a lot of the locally trained hopes. Look at Lunar Flare at 15. Now, usually Moonee Valley Gold Cup winners from the year prior can get an order of entry position around 20th, but this year we're short on Derby and Oaks winners putting their hands up for the 2 mile torture test, hence her high ranking. Watch out for Point King at number 19. It's a Lloyd Williams runner. They have nominated it to run in the Group 3 Kilternan Stakes or Paddy Power Stakes on Saturday the 10th of September. By my assessment, they have already done enough to make the Melbourne Cup field, and as a 3-year-old, the colt won't be carrying much. I've got Paternal a bit high for 2nd place in the Queensland Derby, and his official rating isn't too high, but I'm just basing this ranking on past precedents. The handicapper is quite often given much respect to the Derby winners and place getters. At 32, I've got Rodrigo Diaz, the Australian bloodstock plotter. It looks like they've bought another UK dud, but he should be able to scrape into the field without doing anything significant between now and Cup Day, as we quite often get withdrawals. The withdrawals may be due to injury or could be when connections realise their horse won't be competitive in the Cup. A big factor also is those regular declaration payments. I'll talk more about them soon. At 41 is Knight Endeavour. Of all the runners from 38 onwards, he may have the greatest scope for improvement, given he is just 3 if we go by the calendar year, and he is being trained by Kieran Maher and David Eustace. From there onward, it's kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel. Smoking Romans appears at 47, but I doubt he could run out a competitive 2 miles. There are some decent horses that haven't actually qualified, like Numerian and Durston. Check the Racing Victoria website or the link below for an explanation. Rest assured they can still qualify with a strong performance in a race beyond 2,300 metres. Next up, we're going to take a look at a list of races that horses can use to improve their position in the order of entry. This list is comprised of Australian-based races only. This weekend on the 10th and 11th of September, there are some races in Ireland, the Irish St Leger and the Paddy Power Stakes. In the UK, there is the Doncaster St Leger, and in France, the Prix Vermeil. The winners of those races, if nominated for the Melbourne Cup, will most definitely rise through the order of entry. Keep in mind, I've highlighted some races in green. They are the ballot exemption races that I spoke about earlier. A ballot exemption race is a race where the winner has automatic entry into the Melbourne Cup if it is amongst the Melbourne Cup nominations. The declaration payments in yellow are payments made by owners to confirm they still plan to run their horse in the Melbourne Cup. Keep those dates handy, as you will see the greatest fluctuations in the order of entry around those days. Anywho, let's give a little explanation as to penalty races. Each runner can improve its position in the Melbourne Cup order of entry by winning a listed or group race that is 1,600 more metres or over if it is a handicap race. If the race is 2,300 metres or more, the handicap requirement is removed. With that in mind, I scoured the Australian racing calendar and found these races which comply with the conditions mentioned. Last year I gave a list of races comprised of only listed or group races over 2,300 metres. That was not thorough, as I learnt when Secret Blaze won the JRA Cup. He was given additional weight or a higher handicap, but the tricky thing was that he had not actually recorded a relevant race performance, so he did not get promoted up the order of entry. There are actually 10 modes or types of relevant race performance. I have a link below the video which leads you to the actual VRC document. Briefly, I'll give you some insight. Relevant race type A reads, since February the 1st, 2021, the horse has won or placed second or third in an internationally recognised group flat race over 2,300 metres or further, or won or placed second or third in the Queensland Oaks. Next, clause B says, since February 1, 2021, the horse was 4th or 5th in an internationally recognised Group 1 flat race over 2,300 metres or further, in which horses older than 3 years could run. Further into the list of relevant race types, the clauses start to mention specific races. An interesting example is clause F. If a horse was 6th, 7th or 8th in the Caulfield Cup, they have qualified. And another one that I find rather interesting is clause H, which says winning the Turnbull Stakes grants qualification as well. That's interesting because that race is only 2,000 metres. Anyway, check out that document in the video description. This broadcast is coming to you from the lands of the Lake Macquarie people. We acknowledge and pay our respects to all Lake Mackians, black, white or brindle, past, present and emerging. We inherited this land after the sacrifice of much blood and treasure, and shall honour those that came before us by upholding traditional Australian values. Respect the land, be respectfully sceptical of authority, and give a fair go to all. At Wishbet, it's Deauville Legend, a deserved favourite. I can't argue. It's more a question of whether it actually comes out. Hu Ya Mao, another 3-year-old, and Loft, the German 4-year-old that won the Belmont Gold Cup. They're up there, highly quoted. One-time favourite Duis is $15. They've shown some respect for Knight's Order. Nice win over a mile last Saturday. Interpretation. That one I still don't know too much about. Without a Fight at $31, one of the foreign raiders alongside Point King, the Lloyd Williams hope. There's Rodrigo Diaz at 50-1, where he deserves to be. Now we're plummeting the depths of the unqualified types. Temple of Artemis, $61. He's a Joseph O'Brien 3-year-old. And the only one worth mentioning further down is Luna Flare. She's $126, on a similar path to Prince of Penzance in 2015. Maybe. Won the Moonee Valley Gold Cup the year prior, rested through the winter. Luna Flare did have one run in the winter. Palmerbet have the same fella as Fave. Duis at the same $15 quote as Wishbet. I have read that Duis may be aimed at the Japan Cup also. It is a good 3 weeks after our Melbourne Cup, so that's doable. Hu Ya Mao, a little less respect from Palmerbet with a $17 quote. He races this weekend, the 10th of September, in the Doncaster St Ledger. Dashian Sweet Jr. is $31, the Adelaide Cup winner, slightly shorter than at Wishbet. They have offered better value for Knight's Order. Then we go down to Stockman, who is a good $30 shorter than his Wishbet quote of $81. He was poor in the Sydney Cup, his first time over 2 miles, but no one was making ground that day, so he may have a valid excuse. There's Earl of Tyrone, the Ebor Handicap 3rd place getter at 50s. Of the others, nothing really catches the eye. Nerve Not Verve, $81. If it's a heavy track, she's in with a shout.
Ladies and gentlemen, if millions of people get this book, our funding problems will be over, and it's starting to happen. That's why I said, go to InfoWarsStore.com, get the book, and start shipping in a couple weeks. The Great Reset and the War for the World. But I said go to Amazon because it's the #1 book chart in the world. And if it goes to #1, not of political, not of history, not of U.S. history, it's already #1 over 40 categories, like political science, you name it. 40 plus categories is #1. Ladies and gentlemen, drum roll, please. Of books in the world, The Great Reset and the War for the World is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We are now #9 in the world. Woo! This is major. This is political. This could fund our war chest. Just go to Amazon.com, everybody, and buy 10 copies. Send this blueprint to the Death Star and the New World Order, because you read this, you know their whole plan, how to stop them. Hit The Great Reset and the War for the World now. It's going to go to #1. What do you make of that?
And in Cup news, it's official that Knight Endeavour and Rodrigo Diaz will be on the first shipment of horses out of Europe. They should arrive in Australia about the 21st or 22nd of September, and they'll have to spend another 2 weeks in quarantine at Werribee. The other bit of news regarding overseas runners is that Camorra, Loft and Without a Fight have passed provisional approval to be on board the second shipment of horses from Europe. They won't be arriving in Australia until midway through October. Watch for more news on that second shipment around the 26th of September. Okay, in the meantime, enjoy your punting and watch out for the official order of entry on September the 13th. And in the meantime, I'm particularly looking forward to the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe in early October. I reckon Japan's title holder and this channel's world's best stayer of 2021, Alpinista, are quite a handy chance. Check the odds and pick a winner.